WODDI Woman Talk Show, your weekly tonic that promises to educate and to inform. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is your online program and it is coming to you live from the studios of WODDI. We are beaming live on Instagram, on Zoom, and on Facebook. And also you can get us on www.woddi.org. WODDI is the acronym for Women of Divine Destiny Initiative. And of course, this NGO stands for what is right, what is good for the woman. WODDI is a champion for touching lives, reaching out, and making life better for people. WODDI is all about empowering. WODDI is about making life more meaningful, especially for women, the young people, and of course, the aged. And WODDI champions what is all about nurturing, empathizing with people, giving hope to people, and of course, care. You're on to the program, and you are welcome. If you are just joining us, this is your weekly tonic, the WODDI Woman Talk Show. My name is Fidelis Stephen Dalio, your anchor, as usual. To set the ball, we want to have a recap of the first episode of this program, which was an overview on the dangers of bitterness. And we did agree here that it was quite an inspiring session that we had. And of course, it set the tone for the discussion of which we have today. We defined bitterness as an ill feeling, anger, displeasure, and all of that. We looked at the causes of bitterness to include abuses of rights, frustration, greed, unresolved issues. We also had our guests to relieve some of their experiences, and it was quite interesting. And we also proffered solutions to overcome bitterness, which of course, the first and major was forgiveness. Accepting that you have bitterness in your heart, and of course, letting go, and of course, discussing the issue. Also, advice was given to people on the issue. On the second edition of this program last week, we had to discuss one of the causes or one of the types of bitterness, which was generational bitterness. We also asked questions as to what generational bitterness was all about. And we agreed that generational bitterness was all about disagreements and disputes between family members and all of that. This could be inter and intra-family issues, communal unresolved disputes that has been left unresolved, and all of that. Also, the root causes could be land disputes, sense of entitlement, ownership of property, lack of exposure, mindset, polygamy, and the rest of them. And we gave the Osu caste system as one example of generational bitterness. And we went on to say how does it affect the family? Of course, hostility, strong-headedness, lack of unity, broken relationship, communication, promotes the elongation of poverty, and all of that. We also went on to see what are the roles of ending generational bitterness from the woman, of which is our focus, which we agreed that we must maintain an objective outlook on the subject of contention, educate the home on love and tolerance. On the side of the family, we agreed that proper orientation of the children, especially from the parents, and also preparation of wills to avoid conflict over property. For the religious leaders, we said and agreed that they must promote love and unity within the family, while traditional rulers must also bring about the entrenchment of traditional values. We also agreed that in the educational system, proper education on tolerance and history, while the government should proper enforcement of laws and creation of programs that are aimed at enlightening people on this generational bitterness. Today is another day, and we have in the studios to discuss with us the topic of today, which is family bitterness. A strong contingent, a contingent that cuts across, and of course, people that have made their marks in different fields. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have today a gentleman of great note. He is a writer, an author. He lectures in Islamic studies and Arabic, and is a presenter and facilitator of Islamic programs on an online media called the iMedia. He is a gentleman and a preacher of peace. Let us welcome Ustaz Nuruddin Abdul Malik. Also here is a gentleman. He is a proprietor of schools, a Christian religious leader. He is the pastor of New World Assembly and the coordinator, Me and You Christian Relationship Foundation. He is also a marriage counselor. Let us welcome Pastor Simon Asemota.
Thank you for having me.
Our third guest need no introduction, as she's been here from the beginning. She is someone that has kept faith with this program, a think tank for progressive ideas, somebody that is very vocal on the issues of women and children, and of course the vulnerable. Let us welcome our sister and mother, Hajia Ambassador Zainab Muhammad.
Thank you.
And of course, as I call her the nurturer, she is the one that has put together all that is happening here today. She is passionate, more than passionate, about women, about the vulnerable, and that is why she created what is today WODDI. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the dreamer, the woman behind the idea, and the pride mover of Women of Divine Destiny Initiative, our own mother, Her Excellency, Ugo Noma Nkechi Okorocha. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today is special. Special because we have two religious leaders. And this house is blessed because of the presence of these great gentlemen. Even though we are not discussing religion, but we are discussing issues that surrounds us, issues that concerns us. Let me ask, Ustaz, what in your view, sir, is family bitterness?
Thank you very much. I think we'll all agree that the opposite of bitterness is either joy or happiness. So if you're bitter, it is basically for two reasons. It is either you're being denied happiness or joy, or you're being sinister. There are certain people that are very, how will I put it, very fastidious. What I mean by that, they're very difficult to please. Even if you please them, they will still be bitter. So there are two sides to it. We have those people that are cynical, finicky, always complaining. No matter what you do, that bitterness, because it is entrenched, and they have that sinister motive, they will never be pleased. But there we have the genuine one, the real one. If you deny me happiness, automatically, spontaneously, I will be bitter. You understand? Maybe as time proceeds, I will shed more light on this. I will expand.
Denial is a key here. Denial of what is right, what is supposed to be yours. Pastor Semota, how do you look at what is bitterness, family bitterness?
Just like what Ustaz rightly said, when somebody is denying is right, he gets bitter. It takes maturity to control, and that's what we call self-control. It's where somebody loses self-control. You see that person displaying and carrying out what is in his mind. So in a nutshell, it takes understanding and maturity to balance things in a family. Once somebody is bitter, you better just manage it with information. Without information, that person can explode. So family bitterness can come from, for example, somebody wants something, you deny the person is right. So denial of right lead to bitterness and anger.
Hajia, you have been following on this from the beginning.
Sure.
I'm sure you want to drop something on this.
Well, the two leaders in the house just nailed it. I think the denial sometimes is 90% of what causes family bitterness, and conflict, unresolved conflict, causes a lot of bitterness. And sometimes the unresolved conflict comes as a point of someone trying to prove that you are denying me my right as a member of the family, and miscommunication. A lot of the time, miscommunication causes a lot of family dispute, and that leads to family bitterness.
Thank you very much. Her Excellency, we cannot deny the fact that a lot of families face bitterness. In your view, how would you describe it? How do you want to define what family bitterness is?
Family bitterness, in my own view, is that feeling of unsafe. When in the family things, the air seems to be very, very tensed, as against what it ought to be, then it means that something is wrong. Somebody is very, very bitter. Somebody is not happy. Of course, most of us here have talked about the issue of denial. But I want to say something from what Stas says, which was the issue of some people by nature are bitter. And then I begin to wonder, so what the origin of it? And it could also be because of the background. Because some people, probably because of their background, they get to a level where they cannot even know that they are bitter. Meanwhile, they are bitter. So bitter is unending rage, unending ill feelings as a result of unresolved actions or inactions that exist, in the family. So it's something that once it happens, things kind of come to a standstill.
Pastor Simon, you have been on the stage for so many years, and you have been following on counseling of people on different issues. And I'm sure bitterness must have come one of the problems you encountered. What did you observe from your own point of view could be the cause, some of the causes of this bitterness from the counseling you've had for people?
People, if you have been also be watching what is happening in our country, because we happen to be citizens of this great country, you see, when people cannot, a lot of people express their bitterness in diverse ways. For example, you see somebody, husband and wife, for example. There's a case I was handling some weeks ago or months ago. The woman said that the man beat me. I didn't know what to do. And after my husband finished beating me, you know what this woman did? The man went and dished food to take to work. The woman said, I was just looking for what to do to him. I turned away the rice, I packed stone in the cooler. Went outside and packed gravel in her husband's cooler and locked it and left it for the man. The man took the cooler and went off. He thought that there was food inside it. The man was talking to me. Now, he said, when I got to the office, and I was hungry, when it was time for me to take my food, I opened the cooler. Behold, the rice I put became stone.
Oh dear.
He called his wife. So people express bitterness. There's another issue. When you see a woman came and told me that I feel like killing my husband when he's sleeping. I just look at him. I just want to suffocate him. So there are a lot of people expressing bitterness, and that is why you see a lot of that is happening. Some people have even killed their children through bitterness. Just beat that child, and the child, something will happen. So a lot of things causes bitterness. And that is why I like this program. Because this topic we are talking about is one of the things that is eating up our society. A lot of people don't even know where to air their bitterness. For example, when you reward evil for good, bitterness will not leave that family or that home. So a lot of times when people are bitter, they should be a place where they can express themselves. They should be able to say, this is what is making me to be angry. So the many things that is happening in our society today. So I'm so excited about this program and what this program is doing to those of us that are listening to this program. I believe that when this program is over, you will take 1 or 2 lessons away where it's good for you to control your bitterness. As I'm talking to you, I try to resolve that issue. The man tells me that, I don't even know how to forgive her. The last time I heard from them, they are no longer together. And the man said, how can somebody put stone? He said, when I got to the office, I opened the cooler. Rice became stone. Somebody expressed bitterness.
That is not a miracle, isn't it?
It's not a miracle. It's confusion.
But that's interesting.
Yes. Ustaz, you too, as a religious leader, of course, would have had to, one time or the other, talk to people, counsel people on such. What, in your view, are the causes of some of these issues?
By virtue of my vocation as a teacher, I don't want to relive bitter experiences because it will not help the audience probably. So I'm going to look at diagnosis and solution. Because if I begin...
What we're talking about are the root causes.
Because if I begin to relive certain memories of past occurrences, what works for this person may not work for another person. So I have ab initio identified 2 causes of bitterness. Number 1, the person that is inherently bitter. That one, you surrender everything to God. You pray to God to intervene. Because no matter what you do for the person, he remains perpetually bitter. So you hand it over to God. Now we are talking of the person that you have denied certain rights. You understand? Naturally, spontaneously, the person becomes bitter. Since we are discussing about the family, let me be precise. Both religions aside, Christianity, Islam aside, naturally, it is the responsibility of the man to look after his family. And the moment he becomes irresponsible, spontaneously, naturally, the woman in the house becomes bitter, no matter how much she loves the man. If the man comes home drunk, or the man begins to batter her, simply because she is making certain demands that are like domestic responsibility. The man comes home drunk, angry, or sometimes they even bring women straight to the house, you understand, and begin to have sexual intercourse with the woman to the chagrin of his wife. So these are issues that can bring what? Bitterness. Especially in Africa, where a lot of women are impoverished. And whether we like it or not, because opportunities are not there for these women, they rely solely on their husband. So if the husband becomes irresponsible or unable to provide the basic needs of the home, bitterness is inevitable. I think that's part of it. So then, secondly, the children. You understand? Although I didn't want to do it, but let me just take the risk. If I am a father and I call my son and say, you see that beautiful girl there? The moment your mom steps out, please call her for me. You're sending a message of immorality, of moral decadence. Or even if you ask your child, go and buy cigarette for me. I don't know whether I understand. Or go and pickpocket. Some people even do it. So these are things that can destroy the home. And the home will become eventually a broken home. You understand? So, because I don't know the duration of time, you understand? That's why sometimes I'm very cautious, you understand, in extending what I'm saying. But as time goes on, maybe we'll talk about more.
Your Excellency, as a mother and somebody that has worked with women on the public and the private platforms, how would you describe this?
Describe.
How would you describe? What are the root causes, yes, of family bitterness?
On the part of the parents, because we were talking about family, you see a situation where openly either the mother or the father will begin to show some kind of this particular child is his or her own favorite, begin to treat this particular child in a very different way that she or he, the parent, is treating the other person. So that will kind of begin to bring about hatred, envy, and things like that. So for the parents, I want to believe that, of course, understanding that they are all your children, and it really will not make sense for you to begin to treat this other one much more than you are treating the other person. So the parents themselves need to be very, very careful, because their actions and they go about the way they go about treating their children in terms of treating them separately, in a very separate way, will bring about hatred, will bring about envy. Will actually also make the other person the other child to begin to feel that he or she is not loved or not appreciated, and before you know it, there's a problem. And of course, bitterness is a senior brother of anger or happiness. So of course, there's already a problem in the family.
Ajia, I know, as always, you would want to chip in here.
Well, I was smiling when the pastor was talking about the woman who put bricks in the husband's food warmer. It sounds a little bit funny, but that's the truth. That's the way she was able to handle the situation. I didn't know why the husband was beating her, but we've already identified from the beginning, for us to get it right in the society today, the women folk must be right, must get it right. Once a woman is bitter in the house, however the bitterness comes, wherever it comes from, either from her friends, her relations, or the husband, but once a woman, the mother, the rock of the house is bitter, a lot of things happen, and it happens in a negative way. Because sometimes you hear the woman talk, well, we have phones now, saying ill things about whoever made her angry. Especially in this case, she's probably, oh God, yes, I got him back. He thought he got me this morning by beating me, but now he's going to go all day hungry. So if there are kids in that house, now they've picked something that you can get away by doing something bad. We always talk, well, it's hard to do it, but I know because you are a religious fellow, you will say, love is the other way to handle bitterness. Or you keep quiet, like you rightly said. When you're angry, you keep quiet, you don't talk. And when you are happy, you don't promise. But what we're saying, family bitterness, you must look at the rock and the root of the family. And the woman is the root. If one aspect of the woman is bleeding, that home is not standing still. And today in our society, we have women who are always on the phone talking about issues with the kids around, the maids in the house around, people who think they know better than how you are addressing your family issues, addressing it with you. And it keeps the bitterness lingering on. I was just imagining what will happen when the man comes back home. That's another part 2 of the beating, or part 2 of the changing negative words in the home. And you rightly said, it led to the divorce of that family. And now I'm thinking, what happened to those children? We keep talking about generational bitterness and family bitterness. You see how that takes over from that setting, because it was not healed. If that process was healed, the woman was healed, and the bitterness was addressed, there will be no separation. So we really need to look at some of the irresponsible behavior of men, and then we need to look at how do we
And also
as
the
women
too.
yes, how do we as women accept some of this role with faith and deal with it. We talked about it last week. You must be healed yourself to be able to heal out. You must be you must experience love to be able to give out love. So I think, Your Excellency, we have to do a lot of work in terms of talking about healing process, because bitterness, we need to heal bitterness to talk about love. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Pastor Asemota, a while ago, you were trying to tell us, give us an example with yourself about bitterness. I think our viewers there and our audience in the studio perhaps would want to get that recount again, if you don't mind.
Okay.
What are the examples, some examples of bitterness
well,
from a personal perspective, sir?
Okay. The truth of it is that bitterness can be inherited from parents, can be transferred from parents to children. And if the children does not have information about how life works, they can just take the wrong path. This happened to me personally. I remember 1983, 84. My father woke me up one day and told me that he's very bitter with his sister. And truly, what his sister did was wrong. My father is late now, he died 2 years ago. The sister is also late now. But what the sister did, it was what happened? Let me just give you a short story about it. The junior sister was staying with him, and he was friending a boy in the other street. Then he told him that if you want to marry properly. This going out with this, just do it right. The girl was angry. He said the senior brother doesn't want her to have a friend. So him and the boy now planned, and now went and told my grandfather that my father is having an affair with her.
Whoa.
Are you getting it? So with that, my grandfather now sent for my dad to come to the village, and they told him, so that they can make him come on time, they now said that his father is dead. So he now hurried, left his job and traveled. When he got home, he saw his father outside. So the father told the father, but they just told me that you are the father said, you are the one that died. That he now called the family, everybody together, they started beating him.
Oh,
It was some of his junior brothers say, no, brother cannot do this. How can he be sleeping with the sister? To cut long story short, 2 weeks after that incident, the boy cheated the girl, and the girl went back and told my grandfather that it was a lie. I just lied because brother would not let me. My grandfather said, why? You lied in that kind of thing? You are the one that is going to tell everybody, because everybody have heard it in the village. So with that, my father became bitter. My mother told me story when I was just growing up. My father didn't know. In 1983, my father called me at about 3:44 and called me outside. The funny thing was that her sister was still in our house. To her, she has been forgiven. But look at my father asking me that, Simon, can you do me a favor? I say, what is it? Don't forgive my sister. Then I look at him, I said, this story you just told me, my mother already told me years ago. But for me not to forgive your sister, I can't be a part of it. As a Christian, we forgive people. Allow God to take charge. But for you to ask me to continue with that bitterness.
To inherit it.
So that is where I know bitterness can be inherited. There are some people today, instead of you to resolve issue, somebody just told you something and you just take it over from there. The Bible teaches me, it's a fool that heareth a matter and judge it. You need to hear from both sides and put yourself in issue. So without understanding, I told my dad, I thought you wanted to leave me a house, leave me a car. Why are you giving me bitterness of an inheritance? So I know from when I saw this question, I knew that somebody might be listening to me somewhere. You don't need to inherit bitterness. Let go. And the funny thing about bitterness, if you hold somebody down, you are going nowhere. The person you hold down through bitterness, you can't go anywhere. The person is not going anywhere. Both of you are going to be there on the spot. I'm happy that I did what I did at that when I did it.
Thank you very much. Somebody said bitterness is like taking poison and expecting your
Somebody
enemy
else
to
to
die.
That's
Yeah.
If you're watching us, you're just joining us out there. We are beaming from the studios of WODDI, Women of Divine Destiny Initiative, here in Abuja. And of course, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and also on Zoom. Thank you for joining us. You can also connect with us on www.woddi.org. This is the WODDI Woman Talk Show. Right. Hajia, of course, families have been devastated. Families have been fractured. Families have been disintegrated. Families have been all this and that. How do you think family bitterness has affected families?
Wow, we just heard a life story. That is deep. While the pastor was saying the story, I was just thinking, if I were in his shoes, what would I do? If I was in his father's shoes, what would I do? Would I forgive? Would I let go? He's lucky he was alive to tell his story and to witness the true side of the story. I'm just asking myself, would I forgive? That's something. But then, looking at the anger that would be burning and be eating you up, and then you come from the religion aspect of it, you start praying. Because I think my religion teacher tells me we offend God every day. And we keep expecting him to forgive us and to give us what our heart desire. So if we look at it from that angle, then we have to let go. But sometime, in his own wisdom, the pastor was able to disconnect that inheritance of bitterness. Because, yeah.
No, the truth of it, sorry to cut you short. Some of my junior ones, they did not let go.
Yeah.
And they are suffering the
They are still
consequences
carrying
today.
the load.
They are carrying the load today. There's difference.
It's good that you who disconnected that inheritance or the carryover, as we said last week, bitterness really is a cancerous disease. It eats you up, and it's sad. If any family members are out there and watching this program right now, you need to do one thing, is to let go. Spiritually let it go so you can grow. It's sad that it happens, but today we are seeing the advert of those effects, where family members don't even know their siblings, don't even know their cousins, don't even know how they are existing because of stories that they have heard, because of what happened in the past in the family, and we've taken it over. But let's heal together. And let's start. A problem is a problem half solved. The WODDI Woman Show is giving that opportunity to everyone out there right now to start talking about it and to start asking questions. I keep saying this, asking questions. Your dad could have just told you that story if your mom had not told you the other version of the story. And because you were informed, you were aware of that issue, you were able to take it. The customs and traditions we have doesn't help matters at all. So yeah, it's hard, but it's something we have to do.
Ustaz, families have goals and aspirations, and they look forward to development. How would this family bitterness affect such families?
Thank you very much. I used to ask myself sometimes, is it bitterness that begets jealousy, or is it jealousy that begets bitterness? It's very difficult. If you're bitter, you become jealous. If you're jealous, you become bitter. even although you could say it is superstitious, but there is witchcraft, there is diabolism, there is fetishism. We have witches and wizards in covens. That's why we have men of God always performing exorcism, removing spirits from people. And those who put the spirits of destruction into fellow human beings do it out of jealousy, anger, and bitterness. So jealousy is something that has to be addressed. And there is something I used to tell people that are very jealous of others in a malignant manner. Do you understand? There is something I usually tell them. If you want me dead because you don't like me, the moment my corpse is before you, will you be the one to inherit my properties or my children? That means you need to start another jealousy afresh. That means it will never end. So, you see, the bitter person is always angry. And the person he is bitter about is not even aware of that bitterness. So the pain, he is at the receiving end. Can you imagine somebody who cannot sleep at night, having insomnia as a result of his hatred for another human being? So this is very, very important. Although, as a Muslim cleric, with all humility, I'm not sounding presumptuous. I'm going to quote some verses of the Quran. It's going to be esoteric, meaning it is going to be restricted to the understanding of only few people. But be comfortable. In the Quran, Allah says, Allah, the Supreme Being, the Creator, the Nourisher, the Cherisher of the heavens and earth, He says, وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ, meaning evil and good can never be the same. Allah said, idfa billati hiya ahsan. If anybody brings evil to you, please give him good. Then do you know the efficacy of that? فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ أَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. At the end of the day, if he continues to give you evil and you return good, he will sit down and think and say, let me just surrender. That's what God said. Try it and see, experiment it and see. You understand? If try to pay evil with good. If you do it repeatedly, the person that is trying to hurt you will have no choice than to like you. Please, it is a spiritual experiment that we should try, although it's very difficult.
That is
No, but it's doable.
but it's difficult.
Of course, it's difficult, but it's achievable.
Because I think the first reaction is, why me? Why do you hate me so much? Why do you hate me so much? You know, when you've tried once, I've given you back in good faith, you do it twice. The third time is, I'm going to be physically with you.
No, since it is divine, let us give it a try.
But apart from that, knowing very well that at the end of the day, you are the one you are the losing end. You understand? Because this bitterness, you don't get anything positive from it. So we actually, those of us from the Christian background, should be able to look at what the Bible says, and of course, like my brother Ustaz has talked about what the Quran has said. So the thing is that at the end of the day, you are the one that is at the losing end. So if you're not going to get anything from me, why not come up with a strategy or an approach to make sure that you feel light, so that you can even move forward? You know what Pastor says? You are holding somebody on the ground, you yourself, you're also on the ground. So, I mean, it doesn't make any practical sense. That's the truth.
Bitterness is a venom, Your Excellency, and how does this bitterness in the family affect the psyche and the mentality of the children?
It just picks up and destroys that child. Bitterness in a home picks up that child, and before you know it, the child's future is ruined. And I just want to also talk about, because I believe that the woman is key, the mother in the home is key. She is a builder, she is a nurturer, And for her to be able to carry out her God-given duty or responsibility, I believe to a certain degree, she needs to die to self. A nurturer gives all. At some point, you begin to reap. But at the initial stage, you need to die to self. You need to be able to, because that's the only way you can nurture and nurture well. That's the only way you can build and build properly. So looking at the child in a home where there is so much bitterness, Pastor talked about inheritance. Rather than inherit something that will help that child to make her or him a better citizen, you are producing a destroyer. You are, producing somebody that will tear the whole place apart. So it's a terrible thing. And I want to also say some other thing, which is the fact that, the mother and the father must be very, very sensitive, because, the children are watching. How bitter the home is also depends on the head of the family and, of course, the woman in the house. So they are the one that sets the tone. If there's going to be peaceful, if the home is going to be peaceful, if the home is going to be very happy, it's the parent, and of course it's the mother. So bitterness is a no-go area. Not for anybody, not for the parent, and not, of course, for the children.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We'll continue with you, Your Excellency. I like to say that bitterness is like burning down your house because you want to kill a rat.
That's right.
A bitter home is a Pandora box waiting to happen.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Your Excellency, let's start proffering solutions to family bitterness. And I want to start with what the woman can do in this note, on this issue.
The woman must define at that early stage, what kind of home do you want? What kind of family do you want to raise? What kind of children do you want to bring up? You need to define it. Being able to define the kind of family, the kind of home you want to have, will enable you to begin to understand the enormous responsibility that is on you, so that you begin not to relate or behave like an average woman, understanding that your role as the woman in the house in ensuring that there's peace and happiness is there. So the woman, first of all, must, define what kind of home. She must be prayerful, because Ajay talked about it's not easy. It can only be easy through prayer. Yeah. It can only be easy letting there was a songwriter wrote, he said, walk up to God, lay it before him and walk away. Just put it on him, knowing fully well that you can never get anything good from bitterness. So the woman must define her purpose, understand why she's here as a woman, understand that she's a nurturer, understand that she's a builder, understand that her knees constantly need to be on the floor.
Pastor Semota, what should be the role of the family in this issue, the family as a whole?
Okay, the truth of it is, if you look at this, the man is the head of the home. You see, having been a counselor for some time, I look at sometimes, I always tell men, I don't just want to put it on the woman here, I always tell men 99.9% of the problem at home is because the men are not giving the women the opportunity to be able to bring something to the table. For example, the woman is the one that comes into your life. She changed her father's name. If you were owing bank, automatically she will become a debtor, marrying you. If you are blessed, she's blessed marrying you. And whatever you are, once the woman comes into your life, she becomes. Both of you must see each other as partner in this family business. Partnership. Talked about transparency. There are so many women, they don't even know how much their husband earns. They don't even know what the man is doing. Now listen, some time ago I was praying. I was saying a woman is a helper. A woman is a helper. Now, except you give her opportunity to help you. There are some men that are listening to our program right now. And what is happening in their mind? They want their women to resign from their job they are earning very well. Why? Because he's suspecting something. Where trust is not there, trust is not a gift of the spirit. You earn it with time. When both partners cannot trust each other, that home cannot move forward. When you are suspicious of every move, you can't do anything. For you to say I love somebody, it makes you vulnerable. Many a times you look at it, a man is the head of the family. The woman is a helper. Now, have you ever seen a messy man that is coming and buy material when he's coming? You employ a messy man. He's coming to come and build your house. Now, does the messy man call with Smith when he's coming? The material the man provides, that is what the woman is going to use. Create an atmosphere. The Bible says in Colossians chapter 3, it said, man, don't be bitter against your wife. Now, what is the bitterness? For example, we are in WODDI studio. The visionary, the person that God has given this vision by the grace of God is Her Excellency. Because of that, you see the studio well arranged, well decorated. That means in the cup that is here, everything that is here, she knows why she put them there. But as we are coming into this place, she need to tell us proper understanding of the vision. So many men don't take time to educate their wife and inform their wife, where are we going? That is why I always tell young people, when a boy tells you I love you, don't tell the boy I love you too. That can only happen in African magic. Ask him, marriage is a journey, where are we going? When you understand the vision, you can work with that person.
Thank you very much, Pastor Semota. The religious leaders, Hajia, have a role to play in this, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Time past, we used to have counseling before marriages. Today, our younger ones do counseling on social media. Like you rightly say, the Nollywood. So, yes, we need to go back to basics, our family values, our ethics, to start understanding the role of being in a marital relationship. Nobody, rightly say, nobody goes into a relationship or in a marital relationship because you want to get divorced next year. It's not fashionable.
Yeah.
You go into a marriage relationship with the aspiration that that's where your bus stop ends, with having a relationship. That's your last hope of being in a marital relationship. Yes, there are divorces, but that's because we did not define the goals of that marriage and work towards it together. Traditional rulers, religion rulers need to come in and start doing the real counseling. We are in the 21st century today. We call them the millennial. That's what we call the youth today. And you find a young girl just told me, I'm 26 and I think I'm outdated. I need to get married. But I need to get married to a ready-made man. And I told her, do you know the consequences of that idea of ready-made man? So she's not looking at somebody that can walk towards that being a ready-made together. I'm a graduate and this and that, I can start working. Oh, you haven't even started working, but you are looking for a ready-made man. And you think the ready-made man does not have a ready-made woman somewhere. But really, we need to rechannel the focus in the way our younger ones think about marriage. I am so sorry we're on national, we're Zooming live, but there are so many dysfunctional programs on our TV today. The Z World, all those programs, you look at a love relationship, especially telemundo. And these are what our younger millennials are watching today. And that's not an ideal marriage setting. Marriage setting, you must work together. You must wake up and pray together. You must, challenges come as you grow up together, but you must address it together.
Right, thank you, Hajia. And let's take the last shot with Ustaz here. The educational system. What role should they play?
Moral instruction, of course. Moral instruction. When I was in, I attended a federal government college, Pro Unitate. I attended a particular FGC, but I will not call the federal government college. So they taught us moral instruction those days. I don't know why they've stopped. You understand? But an addendum to that. There is one type of bitterness that we've not talked about here. There's what we call open bitterness, open animosity, open hatred, open rivalry, and concealed bitterness. Hidden bitterness is the most dangerous. You're bitter with me and pretentiously you're telling me good things. That is the most calamitous, the most devastating type of bitterness. And I think it abounds all over. You understand? This is slow poison. This is the person that will kill you gradually. Concealed, hidden bitterness, living with an enemy. You understand? It's very dangerous. So we need to be aware of that. So I think.
We want to thank you all for your submissions. We want to thank you for your contributions on this program. And we are beaming live, as I've said earlier, from the studios, live studios of Women of Divine Destiny Initiative here in Abuja. And of course, we are on these channels of Facebook, we are on Zoom, and of course, we are on Instagram. And you can also get us on our website on www.woddi.org, or call the number that is beaming, that is running there on the screen. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, finally, I think perhaps you want to say something to our people, especially, sorry, while we know that this is true, that a lot of people are disconnected, and of course, people are having animosity, just like Ustaz has said. You want to tell people about our counseling and all of that as a way of helping them, and what WODDI is doing, or what is prepared to do for these people.
Well, we're talking about family bitterness, and I want to say we need healing. We need healing in the family. And if you want a wound to be healed, you don't touch it. So if there's anything that is making you feel bitter, that is making you not sleep at night, just find a way of letting it go so that you can move forward. Here in WODDI, we have a counseling section for those people out there that don't know how to go about being healed of this very dangerous virus or plague called bitterness. Thank God, of course, the number of the WODDI is on the screen. We invite such people to come. We have very, very professional counselors that will counsel them on how to go about, being healed, so that they can get themselves and be able to move forward in life.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, aside from educating, informing the public, WODDI seeks to build a community of partners and, of course, sponsors. We want to partner with you. If you wish to partner with us, you can link us up on our media handles, or you call, of course, on www.woddi.org. I will leave us with the words of Martin Luther King, and which says, never succumb to the temptation of bitterness. Thank you very much, and see you in the next episode.